So please permit me to invite to the microphone. We're going to be looking at partnership in progress, paying attention to learning assessment, and coupled with strengthening parent-school collaboration and partnership. Help me bring to the microphone with your hands. Akim Benjamin, let's put our hands together for Akim Benjamin as they come. We have Loretta Wachi. Keep clapping for them as they come. Please don't get tired, don't get tired. We have Bukola Adewi, Supreme Education Foundation. Let's have you. Please keep clapping for them, keep clapping. And also to join this panel session, it's going to be one of the best teachers that Lagos State have produced, Multina Teacher of the Year, Inspirational Teacher of the Year, Top 60 mentioned in Cambridge. Fantastic Lanre Ibitoye. Let him come up. Put your hands together for him as he comes up. Please clap for us. I would moderate this session. All right, so just a quick one. We're supposed to talk about parents, but we are merging the seminar and the conversation on the panel together. But I'm going to start first with learning assessment. We're going to start with that. Then from there, we move into how to strengthen partnerships. So what you will first do for me is tell me a little bit about yourself, and we're going to do that round. Each person will introduce themselves for about 30 seconds. Then we get back to you, Mr. Larry.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, my name is Larry Ogutoye. I'm a teacher and a teacher leader and a technology integration specialist. Basically, I'm passionate about teaching. Thank you.
Thank you. Please clap for him. Let's have let's have Loretta here. Let's have you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Loretta Patrick Wachi. My background is in economics and statistics. I have worked as a banker. I was a banker for about 12 years. Then I ventured into public service, working in the university as a senior university administrator. And that's also for another 12 years. So altogether, I would say I'm here because I'm a parent. And I'm here because of what I observed in the educational sector, examination malpractice, something that happened, and I took it up as a parent. Thank you.
Thank you. Put your hands together for her. Let's have Mrs. Adewi.
My name is Olubukola Adewi, and I'm an educator, a lawyer turned educator, and I'm proud to be in the teaching field. I'm very passionate about closing gaps in children's education because I believe that it is easily overlooked, and because in our profession, you do not see it glaringly, the way it will be very obvious when a doctor has made a mistake or when a pilot is making a mistake. With the children, with the future of tomorrow, it takes time, and sometimes destiny are rude. So I'm very passionate about teachers teaching very well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Adewi. So my name is Dr. Akin Akinpelu. I have a PhD in educational leadership. I'm a management consultant and education reformer. So I'm just going to be with us moderating this panel. Thank you. So my first question goes to Mr. Larry, very phenomenal person, and he's done a great job teaching with the amount of resources that he's had. And he's been able to create phenomenal results for himself that he's been identified. So, Mr. Larry, very quickly, I want to talk about Partners in Progress. We're talking about the collaboration in learning assessment. I want you to talk about that in a few minutes.
Okay, looking at Partnership in Progress, understanding learning assessment, I specifically want to speak to, the parents and, of course, the institution, looking at how parents or how schools could bring parents into the assessment process. Usually when we talk about assessment, our focus, what comes to mind is test, exam, grading, and all that. But assessment is actually not just testing. Testing is part of it, a tool that can be used to assess, but assessment is very broad. According to CAN 2019, he said he gave 4 component process for assessment. And the first one is planning, the second one is doing, the third one is checking, and the fourth one is acting. So what we do basically or mainly is doing tests, doing exam. So you find out that if we actually don't look at the 4 components and see how they sync together, we are not going to get the advantage that we should derive from holistic and comprehensive, assessment process. Now, how do parents come in? Now, most parents just, come to the surface only when the student or the children in this case want to do exam. And you hear, oh, my children are planning for exam or they want to write exam. That is the doing part. Schools, institutions must find a way to bring parents on board into the planning process. How do parents get involved? For example, informative assessment. Of course, educators here, we know the various forms of assessment. The summative assessment, most parents are involved in that. But when it comes to the formative assessment, the daily tasks that the students have, most parents are not aware of it. They are not even at home to help the world, to help the learners. And that's why we have so many, technology tools that can help parents to come on board, where students, for example, can be working every now and then and checking themselves on platform on how they are making progress. So just to say at this point that parents need to come on board in the planning process, in the checking process, and of course in the acting process. So when we talk about the checking process, for example, when the exam has been done and the result is sent home, who checks? Do we go to attend parent-teacher conference, for example? Because the data we get, the result is not the assessment. It is assessment is actually done. The soul and spirit of assessment is carried out when we go to parent-teacher conference and we check the result. We do thorough analysis. We get feedback from the teacher on how the student have made progress before we can actually say that assessment has been done. So I think it's essential for parents, to be involved by schools and institutions in the assessment process. Thank you.
Do you want to clap for Mr. Larry? That was a very, very good one. Spoke about assessment. So let's get back to strengthening parents and school collaboration and partnership. So my first question is going to go to Mrs. Adewe, Mrs. Olubukola Adewe. So when we talk about parent-school collaboration, there are still lots of gaps in that process. A lot of things are still missing. And I know that there is no system that exists in its perfect entirety, but there are always loopholes. So I wanted to talk about your recent experience. What are the things that are missing in parent-school collaboration?
I think it's really mutual respect between parents and the school. Parents need to come to the realization, and one of my favorite quotes is by Mother Teresa, I can do the things you cannot, you can do the things I cannot, and together we can do great things together. Parent needs to come to the realization that we are working together. And it is, at the long run, in the benefit of the children. The gaps there really do affect children, and they take advantage of that. It is high time parents begin to see the school as their partner and see why it is so important that we are working together. For me, it is something I really struggled with when I moved back into the country, because one of the things we've noticed is that in Nigeria we have very entitled parents and who do not understand how things are in the background. Also because the teaching profession, parents believe it's something they can do as well. I mean, I was taught, I was in class, or I know maths, I'm a professional as well, I'm an economist, I'm in the bank, so it's just the daily maths, so I can teach. So the regards given to teachers is not what it used to be. I mean, back in the days, teachers were reverent, teachers had a lot of respect and accolades to them, but no longer. And I also believe that the school has a huge part to play in this, which was what was my learning curve when I came in. Understanding your parents just the same way as you understand your students. So you know the children in the class, but you also need to know your parents as well. And it differs from school to school depending on the culture of that school. So there are some things you permit. Once you permit it, you're promoting it in the system. So it's high time that as a school, we understand our parents and work together with them. So for me, I really struggled with it when I came back in. I didn't understand why there was so much gap, why parents demand some things. And one of the gaps I found was communication, communicating with the parents step by step. So he was talking about assessment. So we are waiting till parents-teacher conference before parents get to know everything about the child. And so I put on the hat of a parent. And my child has been in school for 6 weeks. And then at the end of the 6th week, I get in only to find out that the child has been poor in maths or poor in literacy. So automatically, the parent flips. How come I didn't know? Why did you tell me? Because early intervention saves a lot. So if there was communication or you didn't bring the homework on time, you don't wait till the parents-teacher conference to tell the mom or the dad that homeworks had not been submitted throughout the week, or wasn't copying notes, or wasn't handing in assignments, or, the communication gap, we need to really, really close it. And I think with time, parents will begin to understand how the school system runs, because it's not as easy as they think it is.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Adewe. Do you want to clap for her? I really concur with her. She said mutual respect, and she spoke about communication. I was privileged to write a book called The 7-Star Teacher, and I dedicated about 2 chapters talking about communication, particularly between teachers and parents. Please, when there are issues, you have to give reports intermittently and also know how to communicate. There's a language with which you must be able to communicate. If a child is failing, you don't say the child is failing. There is a way to put it. Or else the parent will flip and the parents will tell you, then why are you here if you are giving me a feedback that my child is failing? So it means that there's a wisdom around the language with which you must learn to communicate even with the parents. Let me go to Loretta here. And I want you to give me like a specific example, probably something more recent to you, in ways with which parents can contribute to learning in the schools.
Okay, thank you very much. Like I said, I'm here because I'm a parent, and I would give my own example, my own story, and it's a true life story. So my daughter had to write the National Common Entrance exam. That was 2020, and it was such that the exam had been postponed, because there were supposed to be no physical meetings and all. Finally, it came, and I took her to write the examination. And I got there, I saw other parents, I saw school representatives, teachers. It was a general hall. And I handed her over to her school representative, and the exam started. Well, they were calling their names to enter the hall, and I left. And this would be her own story, and it's the reason why I started what I'm doing, which is social change. She said to me, "Mommy, we came into the exam hall and we settled in, and right afterwards, there were parents by the window. They beckoned to the hall supervisor, and they had a discussion. She just noticed what was going on, and she didn't really know what it was, but she knew she was just distracting herself, so she continued her exam. Some minutes, maybe not up to an hour, that the exam started, and she started hearing number 1A, number 2B, number 3D, and she said, "What? Is that what it was all about?" When she was 7, she was taking this exam as a 9-year-old. When she was 7, she had done a spoken word rendition in her school, and she did it so well. I came in as she was rounding up. She got a standing ovation for it. She was talking on examination malpractice and the danger it poses to a child. So when she heard that, she said, "What? Is this what these parents are doing?" Because she saw what happened. It was initiated by parents. So she said she just ignored them. She had an exam to write, and she concentrated on what she was doing. So she would, when they called the number, maybe number 6, and all the children go down, her own head is up because she's calculating, So she didn't take note when the hall supervisor walked close to her and hit her on her hand. He said to her, "Small girl, do you want to fail? I'm calling the answers and you are not right," because he noticed her writing was not in synchrony with what he was doing. And she said, "No, I'm not going to fail. And what you're doing is wrong." I mean, she faced him. She stood up to him. She said to me, "Mommy, I told him, I said, what you're doing is wrong. It's called examination malpractice. And if you hit me again, I'm going to report you to my mommy. I'm going to report you to my daddy and my head teacher, and they will come after you." I'm sure the man was taken aback, because for such a tiny girl, giving him that kind of report, he walked away. So I didn't know all this till I came. They called me that the exam was over, so I came to get her. Because it was a Saturday, I had other things to do. I mean, I can't be there. So I came to get her. On our way home, she told me this story. And I could not sleep. That's how come I ventured into what I'm doing. I had to speak with their head teacher on a Monday. I could not the sleep left me. I know about examination malpractice. The professor is here in the universities. I know about it in secondary schools, but for primary school, it means that the very base with which our foundation is being built is crumbling. For me, this is not how we went to school. I went to a public school. We close school by 1:30. We do all our exams. We go for competitions. And I realized this was happening at a point in the state where we are. Permit me, I wouldn't want to say it. There was a lot of insecurity. There was a lot of, it's a southeast state, right? So there was a lot of insecurity. We couldn't really do some things. On some days, you hear about Nnamdi Kanu going to court, Monday sit at home. And it was really serious. So I just realized that as a parent, I have to do something. So speaking with the head teacher of my child's school, I said, I don't hear about competitions anymore. And even when I hear about competitions, the children will have to pay. They have to pay to register. This was not how I went to school. I mean, you were selected as the best in your class for mathematics or English or debates. You write very well. My dad was a lecturer, so even from grade 4, I would match those in grade 6 for essay writing. I will be the youngest in debate competitions. But I don't hear it anymore. And she said, because, nobody is really doing that. Nobody's really sponsoring. And that's how come I discussed with my husband. I said, we have to do something. We can't just be quiet about this. We can't be quiet. Eze has gone to school. But now, Eze is in a school and he's writing exams wrongly. He's been taught the wrong way. And sometimes, permit me to say it, this story came from the point of parents. Sometimes it's on the angle of teachers, because the school fees is so high, and then the children need to pass. Please say it the way it is. Every parent would want to know that their child is doing well and their child is being taught well. If you are not teaching, if you are cheating, you are killing the child. It doesn't matter how it is. Present the issues the way they are. Whether the school fees is high, whether the school fees is low, whether the teachers, whether the parents who pull the child from there, maintain your standard. If our country has to get better, it will be better because we intentionally do what is right. And that's how come my husband and I, we had this NGO we registered. He's a family physician and he had done some things on health. And he wrote for a grant, and he won this grant, and he did something on maternal mortality, because Nigeria is actually one of the highest in maternal mortality. So I went back to the documents again and saw that I could run a school competition, and that's what I did. We got funds. It was personal funds. We started with our funds. We wrote to schools, and we were able to organize a pilot competition. We spent a lot of money. In fact, when when we wrote to the government to be part of it for the prize giving day, they were wondering, who are these people? We don't even know them. Maybe they got some money from somewhere. And the commissioner, I'm sorry to say this, he should have been there himself to see, because we did things excellently. We got a keynote speaker from the university where I work, and she had to speak about it. Because for me, like the Bible will tell you the things that God hates. For me, the things that I hate in the educational system, number one, examination malpractice, because we're not going anywhere unless we address it. And that was exactly what we did. So I had asked for the cover page of the book, because I had to write a book. It dawned on me, Eze has gone to school. So now what? Eze is learning to cheat in exams. But the story of Kika, the title of the book is Kika's Examination. I thought the media would put it up by now, because it's not there. Thank you. It's a book that will be released soon, and it's my desire. Collaborate with us. It is not about profit. We want to spread it to every child, every Nigerian child, so they will know what Kika did, so they will know how to stand up and study for themselves. I will tell you the end of the story. The end of the story is that the results came out, and most of the children in that hall failed because the answers were wrong. But Kika and a few children from her school passed honorably. The book is a little book. It's for children, but I dare say it addresses a lot of things about us parents, about teachers, about schools.
Amazing.
And this is how I answer your question.
Amazing.
Thank you.
You want to put your hands together? I mean, that was so passionate. She was speaking from the point of pain, but the interesting thing is that she has been able to convert the pain into purpose, and that's why she's doing what she's doing. I feel your pain, honestly. I could share an experience with you. In 2002, I started a tutorial school because I was passionate in helping other people to pass. And I had about 75 students coming to that tutorial school during the summer holiday. And somebody came right in front of me and started his own tutorial school and tells them that I'm going to make you pass this thing. Just add 15,000 naira extra, you would all pass. The next day, you'll be shocked, 75 students reduced to 10. And their students took them there. So you have the student, you have the teacher's part, you have the parents' part. And this leads me to Mrs. Adewoye. I mean, just taking a leak from what she was saying. How do we strengthen the parent-teacher relationship or synergy to see how a child can pass an exam without corrupt practices?
So you got that right out of my mouth, because the parents have a part to play in this, just the same way as teachers. And it brings me back to what I started with, the entitled mentality, the demand and the pressure parents put on teachers. I was sharing one with that this morning about a school that I worked with, and I was told that the children needed to pass because the parents are paying very high fees. I said, how are you going to do it? They said, just ensure that there are a lot of A's. Stop being so strict with marking, because you won't have a lot of students in the school. And so if schools have that mentality and parents are comfortable with that. Now remember that some school owners are running strictly a business. Some of them are not even in the business of education itself. So they're running a business. So they come to school, they ask from the principal, the head teachers, what's the population? 100, 150, 200, we want more. They don't want it to drop. And then it becomes like a business strategy. Let's make sure that they are doing well and it's colorful. And we can't, because it boomerangs after a while. So for me, I believe that one, communication is very, very key. You need to have sessions with your teachers. One of the issues we have as well is parents moving children from year 5 to secondary school. So for us, we've had to have sessions that, look, the curriculum was taught through and through. Look at it anywhere in the world, whether they run it as the 6-3-3-4, whether they run it as the 5-2-2, whichever way it is, combine all the years together, add it up together. They still want those children to be at uni 17, 18, not 15, not 14. So consistently, Nigerian parents, we push our children. We put a lot of pressure on the teachers. We put a lot of pressure on the school. And that is the after effect of what you're seeing with the school. Now, you know that this is not only with primary school. We have JAMB centers, WAEC centers, that they ensure that children pass and they get into universities all doctored. And so at the long run, we then have half-baked lawyers, half-baked doctors, and they're not ready to face the world. I don't know if anyone has faced having even teachers, fresh graduates, that are not able to write and compose letters properly. It's the effect of all of this. So it's very important as well that teachers, we do know our onions. We call them in as the professionals that we have. We have meetings with them. We explain to parents. And I usually use life examples. And until we keep having that, you find parents going to say, oh, I didn't know. Some said, oh, for year 6, they thought they were saving money. That why do I have to spend money for another 1 year where the child could as well be in year 7? And until you have that discussion with them, when they come to you, they tell you, I was speaking with, I think her name is Patience, the early years specialist, yesterday, and we have parents that move their children to schools because in one school they're reading, counting from 1 to 100, and then they're complaining about a child in nursery not counting yet to 20 or 30. So there's a lot of pressure. In fact, in the UK, before a parents-teacher conference, they call Nigerian parents, Somali parents, Chinese parents, they call all their class teachers and have a meeting, preparing them on how to deliver to their parents because of the pressure they put on the children as well. You have to pass. And then you have to be in this position. You have to be first. Who is the second? Who is the third in the classroom? I think we need to move from that. It's also one of the reasons why teachers need to know their audience. They need to know what they are doing so that they can help parents through the process. I think when we call parents and we talk, it's okay for her to fail. It's okay. It's part of their learning because school is no longer just about maths, English. It's about learning how to fail because children need to learn how to fail. They need to learn how to pass because life does not help us pass all through. Is that possible? That all through your life you won't have your downtimes. And those are the things that makes them strong. It helps them as well to realize their strengths and their weaknesses. It also helps them to identify, this is what I'm going to do. We have parents, it's one of the reasons why they push children into becoming a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer. In Nigerians, we choose the profession. You dare not, at least when I was growing up, I dare not go back home to say I wanted to do this. I studied law because that was what my parents wanted. And I had no choice about it. And so it's that pressure, the rippling effect. And we don't go back as parents to look back and say, this didn't work, so let's do something different. So for me, I think it's just very key. We communicate, we have seminars, we bring in professionals into the system to talk to them. I was going to show a video at the beginning about a lady, I think she's Kamsi from Kenya. I don't know if they have that video. And they sent over, I'm sure some people have seen the skit. And she said she was going back to school because if she was meant to be working, doing homework with her kids at home, then she should have paid half of the school fees. So she shouldn't be doing that. So she was going back to school to fight with the teacher. And you know, if at the beginning of the school term, you've had a session with parents, I tell them, homework is meant to consolidate learning. If your child does not know it, let them bring it back to school. It means that what was taught in class, they didn't understand. And so the teacher knows that this boy or girl did not get that in the classroom. So he or she needs to work more to help her get to the right place. But you find parents, I've heard about parents bringing in professionals to help their children sort out just artworks, you know, electrical projects during after break, and they bring in something so perfect to school. You're thinking, how can a year 3 or a year 4 be able to put this together? But just because you have to be the first. We have a scholarship thing in school where you are in a particular percentage rate, you get a red tie as a form of encouragement. So it's who is in the red tie, who is in the red tie. They bring in teachers in school to have private session lessons with their children at home so that their children can get the red tie. We had to stop teachers from teaching, from having extra classes with students of the school. So there's so much, a lot of pressure from parents and on the school. But I think communication would help.
Amazing. You want to clap for Mrs. Adewe? Communication again. I will just move very quickly. We're going to end this in 2 minutes. So I'll just get to Mr. Ibitoye once again. So you were talking about assessment and all of that. So do you want to say something around parent-teacher collaboration around that?
Okay. I think talking about the issue of easy failing exams. So we need to find a way for easy to stop failing exams. And parents need to come in here. Someone said that he will sweat more during training, yes, will bleed less during war. So parents should find a way to ensure that the children at home are actually engaged in practicing. At home, practicing every now and then, not waiting till when exams comes around before they rush in because they just want to pass. From the first day of school, from the first week of school, starting from looking at the classwork, when they get back home, how do parents ensure that the student have something called reflective practice, for example? I work with some, parents, at the coaching level, academic coaching. The children in that home do what we call weekly self-assessment. From Monday to Friday, you come and doctor it down, you reflect. Mathematics, English, how have I done? In which area am I failing? The student must be responsible for themselves. They must be able to identify the gaps in their learning. So I want to encourage parents. We need to take on practices like this. Sit your children down. Let them do self-reflection, self-assessment. And for those who are in, lower elementary and upper elementary, the parent may want to guide them with some guided questions on how they will reflect, through their work. Then after they have done reflection and the gaps have been identified, of course from feedback from teachers, because teachers will mark their assessment, they mark their classwork, and they put feedback there. As a teacher, I've found that most students don't even look at the feedback. They just go on. The teacher writes something, do correction on this, do it again and resubmit, and nothing is done. And you find out that such a child went home over the weekend, nobody checks. When they come back to school, it is expected that the teacher will do a lot. Yes, we know that it's the responsibility of the teachers, but the direction of international education is actually looking into how we can have a formidable and sustainable synergy between the home and the school. So it's important that parents sit down with the kids at home and put on this strategy, self-reflection, and of course ensuring that students actually do practices. I want to quickly mention leveraging on technology. For example, Edvis has, a platform, adaptive platform where parents could sign up, with their kids, and they can do learning assessment practices every now and then on either any of the subjects that they have. You can take on questions and you'll be able to monitor your child's progress. This is not something that should only be done in school. The difference is going to show between a kid who came from a home where he or she is being monitored and a kid that came from a home where he or she is not being monitored. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Larry. So in final words, because we need to be out of here. So to my right, Mrs. Adewe, if you check this parent-teacher thing, parent-school thing we're talking about, you would find out that parents also are from diverse backgrounds and different communities. In just about 30 seconds, how can we bring inclusivity and collaboration from such parents? Just less than a minute.
So it's just like what I said, that you need to know your parents. It's very important. And you need to know what works with your parent. I believe one size does not fit all. And there is no universal answer to this. But really putting on the hats of the parents, sitting in their seats, feeling what they are feeling, caring about what they care about, because their child means the whole world to them. Whether they be 5 or 6 or 10, every one of them is important to them. We might have about 100, 200 students in our school, but that one child means a lot to them. So when you sit in their seats and care about their child, I think automatically they begin to yield as well to what you're talking about, because they see and they know that you're talking from a position of care. You're talking from a position, you're talking from the heart and not just from the head. You're not talking about, it's not about the business, it's not about your finances, it's not just about the name of the school, it's about that child. So I tell parents, I said, though the child bears your surname, but the child also bears my surname as Supreme. Because no matter what, whether they spend a year or two with me in this space, forever they're going to be having Supreme with them. So they bear yours and they bear mine. So it is not just your child, it is our child. We are co-parenting. So we are doing this together. So you need to understand. So when you talk from a position of care, I believe, and I always see the difference, they begin to conform. So that works.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Adewi. Final words, Loretta.
Okay, I would just like to encourage everyone here, every parent here. Every child is your child. And what we want to see in this nation, we must first begin with ourselves. You know, redefine education, redefine study. As parents, maybe at a point, it looked like parents shifted all the responsibility about education to schools. Maybe that's why the divide began to widen. You know, I think it's right time parents take ownership, understand what is happening, be engaged more, find out how you can help. Parents can organize meetings and invite the school to talk to them. You know, let's think outside of the box. I think that for me that works. Let's think outside of the box. What we can do that we have not done before that can, you know, stir up a change. It might start like a drop in the ocean, but definitely it will spread, and it will spread very well for our own good. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Loretta. And finally, let's listen to Mr. Larry.
Okay, so I want to appeal to the parents inside every educator here. I know that we have a lot of teachers here, school owners, and sometimes we also forget that we are parents. We take care of other people's kids, but your own kids suffer. You know, teachers will discuss and say, oh, parents don't have time. But the truth is, if you check, even you yourself, you don't have time for your own kids. So I'm appealing to the parents in every teacher here. Please, as you take care of other people's kids, kindly give time to your own children. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to be the end of this panel. I'd like to bring the co-founders to please come take a picture with the panelists. Would you want to clap for this wonderful session? Thank you very much, Mr. Adewi, Ms. Loretta, and Mr. Larry. Thank you.
You always leave my mind. I cherish you with my life. Don't worry yourself, oh. Everything go day alright. And if anybody try you, you know it's gonna be on sight.